Strive for improvement. Time for the blueprint. Minds to elevate, thrive, and demonstrate, planting a movement. Sow the seeds, educate the flourish, building up the team. Our network with purpose, industry is green. Only scratch the surface, know this call is deep. Nobody gon' outwork us. Yeah, we chasing greatness, trying to give the code. Moving up with patience, foundation stone. Doing what it takes, we're here to break the mold. This for anyone who wanna level up. Let's grow.
Guys, what is up? Welcome to another episode of the Plan Movement Podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Willie Rodriguez. And today's a special day because today, about 3 years ago, we started this journey of doing a podcast. We felt called to do something more for the industry, to give back in many different ways. And along that journey, we had come across Mr. Paul Jamison. And Mr. Paul Jamison, with the credentials that he has, and what he's been able to do and accomplish in just 30-something short years of his life really impacted us. And it gave us that fuel to just, that this is possible, we can actually do it. Then from a DM sent to him, we ended up having multiple conversations, working together. He has mentored us in many different ways. And you could tell that this guy's just, he's destined to do this. God has called him to do this. And the fact that we get to interview Paul Jamison today on the Plan Movement Podcast today is a milestone for us in a big way, just to have you on, man, because you do mean a lot to us. And, I'm excited and pumped for today's episode, guys. Paul touches so many things. He has done so much. He's accomplished many things. He's shaken so many hands, and he's a powerful, powerful human being. His mind is shifting, his perspective shifting, his content is shifting. Everything is shifting in this man's life. And I feel like it's just going to be even better. So I can't wait to dive in today, Paul.
Thank you.
I love you, man. We love you, man. And dude, so so from here, Paul, so let's jump right in. So Paul is from Georgia, and you started a long time ago. You were into lawn care, and you had your own company. Tell us just fast. I know you've done this on other podcasts, but just for our listeners that don't know who you are.
Yeah, I started in the cutting that grass and making that cash in 2011. And Willie, I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know you're supposed to save money for taxes. I had no idea what overhead was. And I just thought I charged Maria was my first customer. I charged her $25. So I thought it took me a little less than an hour to mow her grass. I'm making $25 an hour. My buddies are, they were making like $12 an hour. This is fresh out of college, 2011. That was a lot of money to me. I had no idea how business worked. I didn't know that was revenue. And from that, I was going to have to fix my mower and get a better weed eater and eventually get a truck. I had no idea how business worked. But I had that entrepreneurial bug. So 2011 was rough. My first year in business, it was so rough that I had to go get a job at Carrabba's. Is an Italian restaurant in Atlanta. I think it's a chain. But anyway, they had a really popular one by this arena where they had concerts in the evening. So I would go cut grass during the day because I was such a bad business person at the time. I had to go work at night just to make ends meet. And I did that for 2011, 2012, 2013. And the first few years in business was a train wreck, but I started realizing I had to raise my prices. I started doing higher quality work. I started marketing better. Everything started to turn, and I was able to solely do the lawn business in 2014, 2015. And then things started really ramping up, and I started making profit, making good money, getting great customers. And by around 2017, my business was booming. Okay. So then in 2018, I wanted to share my story with others on social media. And at the time on podcasting is kind of how I started. And so I just started the Green Industry Podcast in 2018 and just basically is like, hey, here's what I'm learning in my lawn business. Here's all the mistakes I made. Don't make them. Here's what's working well. And then I started, as the show started growing, I started getting to connect with other small business owners and have them share their stories, which a lot of us had similar stories. And so long story short, the podcast really began to grow over the years. And now I just do the podcast full time, traveling around, interviewing small business owners, letting them share their insights. And our listeners are blessed by all these cutting edge interviews and hopefully avoiding the mistakes I made and running profitable businesses and living wholesome lives. So it's been a lot of fun. That's the abbreviated version of, I learned a lot of business lessons through the School of Hard Knocks and appreciate the opportunity to share these business principles via podcasting and social media and all of that.
Yeah, that so one of the biggest takeaways from that is that you had, because I had a conversation with someone the other day talking about this, that something they have been working on for like 7, 8 years. It was doing well, but then they started something else, and that something else took off. And they're in the middle of, should I stick with what I'm doing? Should I find somebody to keep running it? Should I sell it to go off on this new adventure? Because the new adventure is more exciting. The new adventure is more what they're called to be doing right now. And they're in the middle of that. How did you overcome that?
Well, everything in the lawn business taught me business fundamentals. So I learned how to read a profit and loss statement. I learned about a statement of cash flows. I learned about a balance sheet and the assets versus liabilities and equity in my business. I learned all these business principles that go across any business. And so with the Green Industry Podcast, the Green Industry Podcast is its own business in regards to, we have revenue and we have expenses, and thankfully we have big profits. But it's like I was talking to Jonathan Potoshnik, he's known as the lawn care millionaire, and he's had 3 different businesses that he's taken to 8 figures. That's $10 million and beyond. A cleaning business, and then his lawn business, which currently does $15 million a year in revenue, and then a software company that he sold for an outrageous amount of money. He's huge net worth, very, 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 very wealthy fella. But I was asking him the same question, Willie, and he's like, well, each business, the cleaning business taught me the ropes that we then implemented in the lawn business, which then helped us in the software business. And they're all kind of interconnected because they're all home services. So what I would say to your friend and what happened for me is 10 years of running a lawn care business taught me business. And now I take those principles and I implement them into my media business, my podcasting business. And then I have other endeavors with golf and all kind of other stuff that I'm monetizing and making money from. And so it's all, the game of business is simple. You have revenue and you have expenses, and hopefully you have a profit. And so it doesn't matter what business you're in, these principles, that's why I'm like, every high school kid should start a lawn business, just so you understand customer service and pricing and profit and all of that. It's just such a good lesson learned that you can apply about any business. But I think that my first business prepared me for my second business, and probably, Lord willing, one day I'll have a third business. It's just, when you're an entrepreneur, you got to take action on these ideas.
Yeah, no. And then, and so you're a busy guy. You have a lot of things going on. How's the golf going? Because I see the content has shifted towards golfing.
Yeah. So the golf industry is gigantic with big, big money. So if you've ever watched a golf tournament before, the commercials on these golf tournaments are Rolex, Mercedes-Benz, IBM. I mean, big, big companies that spend big money. And the golf industry is booming. I listened to Dave Ramsey, a financial guy, and on his podcast a while ago, somebody had called in who had like a gadget that was for golfers. And Dave Ramsey's like, you know what? There's one industry right now that is exploding. And he's like, I know, because I recently started golfing. And he's like, that's the golf industry. People spend, it's an expensive hobby. I just bought 12 new golf balls that are $58. So anyway, I see, if there's that much money, they asked the bank robber, Larry King did, why did you rob the bank? He's like, that's where the money it was. Yeah. And so in the golf industry, that's where the money is. Nice. And so I'm noticing a trend where golf content, the golf creators are getting more popular than the actual PGA Tour and live golfers. Wow. And now the PGA Tour and the live golfers are starting YouTube channels. They're trying to be content creators because it's such a huge opportunity. So it's a hobby at the moment. It's a side hustle. It's my spare time. I'm going golfing this afternoon, and I'm trying to build a business around it. But I am going all in on that because I see the opportunity there, while simultaneously continuing all my efforts and endeavors with the Green Industry Podcast. I'm doing both. JP, he's kind of my business mentor, Jonathan Potoshnik, but he did both for a while. He built City Turf to $15 million a year in revenue with a great team, while he built his software company that he sold for substantially more than that. And he's like, you can do two things at a time if you have time management.
No, 100% you can. And then also it's cut the grass, get the cash. It's grass. You're playing on grass. So it
Yeah,
all
and
ties in and intertwines with everything that you do.
even with the sponsors, one of our biggest sponsors is John Deere, and they have a division for turf, and in ways that they work with turf influencers, but they also have their own golf tournament. They're so big they have their own tournament. It's called the John Deere Classic. It's a PGA Tour event in Illinois, and so it's not that the industries. Every golf course has lawnmowers and weed eaters on them. The industries are connected, and that's something my mentor JP told me. He's like, it's not like you're going to be like a heart surgeon or something like that's completely different. It's just like one step away. The green industry, the golf industry, it's kind of under the same umbrella. I just see a trend and an opportunity, and I'm going for it.
100%. Everything you already do is already intertwined with that. And you love playing golf. So
Yeah.
it makes sense, Paul. 100%. I would definitely take it if I was presented with that too, as an opportunity. And so one thing I wanted to talk about is that you have written 3 books, right? It's been 3 books. I wanted to ask you what made you, what moved you to actually want to write a book? And because I don't think it was a money move, right? That was more of like, what was the purpose behind writing that book?
Well, yeah, when I die, which hopefully will be decades from now, I got a lot of ambition, a lot of life, hopefully, to live. But when I do pass away one day, which all of us, newsflash, the new survey I saw report, 10 out of 10 die. So that book, though, my kid, Lord willing, I don't have them yet, but my kids, they'll be able to have dad's book of my dad started a lawn care business, and here's his story. I mean, how cool. My grandpa owned a service station. Some of y'all are so young, you don't even know what a service station is, but back in the 40s and 50s, when you went to the gas station, they'd fill it up for you and give you oil change if you needed one and all of that. So my grandpa owned a filling station, but all I really have is the stories he kind of told me at the end of his life. I would have cherished if I had a book of him telling the story of and he's told me these stories before. One time they got robbed, and this crazy story of when these guys came, and all these stories, but they're just kind of passed on through verbal. So I wanted to get my documented journey in a book that will live on beyond me, that my kids, my grandkids, they can read about Paul's lawn business and what I learned from that. And also, a book builds you as an authority in the marketplace. So once I had the book, I started noticing more opportunities where when you're an author, it just opens doors that way. So there's many, many benefits for writing a book. And the other thing is, it gave me confidence because I set a goal. I'm going to write a book. I followed through and wrote the book, published it. It's on Amazon, and it just gave me confidence. Like, okay, if I can do something like that, then I can do something else. It just built momentum in my life to set a goal and to go after it and to do it. And since I've had my book out, I've had countless people, Willie, DM me or talk to me in person, be like, man, I feel called to write a book, but I just haven't done it yet. And it feels good to actually have done it and to take action on that seed that was inside of me to get my story out there.
Yeah. I feel like I know that God is a big well, let me ask you, what is God to you, Paul, in your life? What does he mean to you?
A lot. In 2004, he really changed my life. I was living wild in all kind of sins. And in 2004, this is a long time ago, but I really started to have a realization of eternity, that I was going to die. And I had this fear, Willie, about hell. Like, I did not want to go there. It was like it was almost, I was about to fall into it. And it was just, I have a grill here that goes to like 500 degrees when I sear my steak. And if I have the lid open too much, it gets hot. I'm like, man, I could not imagine going to hell. I don't want to go. So in 2004, I was like, Jesus, save me. I'll give you my life purely out of, I do not want to gamble my eternity to go there. Just too scary to me. So that was in 2004. And since then, you have children, so I'm sure you discipline them if they, act a fool, you get them in line. So since then, God took my life that was a dirty mess and everything like that. And over the years, he's just disciplined me. He's matured me. and he's preparing me for that day when I do die. My ultimate life goal is that when I stand before God, number one, he lets me into heaven. And number two, that he says, well done, my good and faithful servant. Because there's other verses that say, he'll say to some people on that day, they're going to say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do all these miracles in your name? And he's going to say, get away from me, you who practice lawlessness. I never knew you. So my life goal is on that day when I'm standing before God and I have to give a report for what I did with my life, that it pleases God and that he lets me into heaven and that he's pleased with what I did. And so another thing that God means to me is there's a verse that says, you got to either be hot or cold. If you're lukewarm, I'm going to spew you out of my mouth. And for a lot of my adult life, I was lukewarm, which if you drink coffee and it's lukewarm, that ain't no good. I like cold coffee, like ice brewed coffee, and I like really hot coffee. But if it's lukewarm, it's no good. And my life was lukewarm for a while. And really in the last several months, Willie, last couple of years, I've started to get that spark back. I started getting that fire back, and God really started opening my eyes that I was wasting my life kind of in this in between. And so you got to pick a side. Are you hot or are you cold? Are you on Jesus's team or the devil's team? Don't be in the middle. Pick one and go all in. And I pick Team Jesus. And so that's kind of an abbreviated version of what God means to me and how I'm trying to live a life that pleases him. A lot of rough edges still, a lot of compromises that he's working me on, being the best version of what I could be, but he's helping me. So
I feel like it's a journey that, everyone battles it. But the fact that you wear those lenses and you see how important it is to walk in faith, especially with all the things that you've done, most of the things that you do are by yourself. Like, yeah, you have people that, you sub stuff out to take care of things. But for the most part, you're by yourself. And, you have to really have faith at the end of the day. It's not so much willpower, discipline, all these different things. It's more faith that, hey, this is what God showed me, and this is what we're going to go do. Regardless, you got to have faith that it's all going to come together. So that is something that you definitely do have, and it screams off of you, especially now also as how your content's changing. I love it. You're someone that has spoken at many different events. Tell us about that. How has that been in the transition of never doing it before to then doing it, to then speaking, and you feel called to do this for a greater purpose?
Yeah, it's fun to speak at events, and it's a really great opportunity to network at events. I wasn't able to make that event. I think you guys were up in Orlando at a show there.
Escape show, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know about it until I saw you and I saw some of the other folks I follow on Instagram there. I was like, oh man, Orlando's about a 2-hour drive for me. I could have swung over and networked, but hopefully maybe next year. But I go to Louisville, Kentucky every October for our big trade show called the Equip Expo, and I host my own event called the Lawn Care Life Conference. And these events are just a wonderful way to network. I don't know who said it, Willie, but they said you're the average of the 5 people that you hang around the most. And so I just try to keep elevating who those 5 people are to people who are further along in life than me. I know I mentioned Jonathan Potosniak a lot on this show, but he's so successful. And I got to spend 3 days with him in Texas last week. We got dinner the night I came in. We got lunch and dinner the second day, and I got to go to his beautiful, beautiful home. And then we got lunch the third day. So I had 4 meals with this man. But the only reason I got to connect with someone who's a 9-figure net worth, just super successful guy, been married to his wife since not high school, but they met in high school and they married at 21, still married. Kids are good. I met his son. I look at his life. I'm like, I want my life to look like that 5, 10, 15 years from now. But I met him at an event. I went to Naylor's event. He was there. I actually met him at an event in Nashville the year before. But at these events, you never know who you can meet. And then if you add value to their life, I was able to add some value to JP's life because I taught him a little. He was thinking about getting into social media a little bit. I gave him some pointers. I was like, here's what I would do. And so I added value to him, even though I might not have, my net worth is his net worth is way more than 100 times my net worth. But I still found a way I could add value to his life by giving him some best practice, Instagram tips and stuff like that. So events networking is so important to go and this to initiate interacting with other people. So important. There's a few bad apples in our industry, but out of the 30,000 people that will be out of the Equip Expo, 29,000 plus are just good people that are trying to build businesses, and you can connect with them. So
yeah, the Equip Expo, guys, for you guys that don't know, it's like SEMA, but for the lawn care industry. Everybody's there and everything is there from all the new stuff. Real quick, a word from our sister company, the sponsor that makes all of this happen, A's Ornamental Nursery. Man, when we started off, our mission was to make a difference, make an impact with the product. We definitely have done that, but we've kicked it up many notches, servicing landscapers that were tired of looking for product, garden centers tired of looking for product, tying it all up together, delivering it, locating it, delivering it, getting it done, saving so much time, giving you guys back your life is what we've really done. Find problems, create solutions, team up with great people, and build lifetime bonds through relationships that really make an impact. So with that being said, guys, reach out 305-216-5320. Ask for Daisy. Tell her you got a list. We'll get an estimate back to you within 48 hours, and let's start. Now let's get back into the episode. One thing I wanted to talk to you about, because you know a lot about this. You really think autonomous lawn mowing is going to actually hit?
oh yeah.
Yeah, you think so?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. It's a few years away.
Mhm.
I was at Exmark last year, and they had this big mower, stand-on mower with nobody on it. And it's just laying down these perfect stripes.
Mhm.
And it was stunning. I mean, I just sat there and watched this thing lay down perfect stripes in this big field. And so it's going to start, and it's already, that specific machine is going to be at Equip Expo this year if you guys want to see it in person. And then it's going to be on the market, I believe, in 2025. So people that have big commercial properties, golf courses, they're already hopping on the autonomous. With the residential, Willie, it's a little bit down the road because you got trees in the middle of the yard and you got kids running around but it's coming. And the reason I know that is because how much money Exmark and John Deere and Toro and all the major players, they are investing massive amounts of money in developing their autonomous mowers. And it is going to be here. I don't know if it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road, but they're only going to be more and more in the market and become more and more popular for sure.
Yeah. So it's a good and bad thing. Depends who you are and where you stand. But for a business owner to be able to have, or let's say like the hotel, I think it's great where they can just send it and it leaves the little garage, it comes out, does its thing. Like you say, like a residential, I see that not yet, because someone could get their foot cut off. Or something.
I don't think there's been, and I follow the industry, the lawn mowing industry closely. I haven't seen any articles. And if I'm wrong, you guys could email it to me, greenindustrypodcast@gmail.com. But I haven't read anything of there being any injuries or fatalities with these autonomous mowers. Husqvarna's been in the game for a minute. They have really good mower. Kress, KRESS, they're red. I've seen their autonomous mower in person multiple times, and it just, like you said, it leaves the charging station, it goes out and it mows, and then it goes back to the charging station, and it does a really good job.
It's like
it's crazy. I mean, the vacuums, I don't know if you've ever used like a Shark or the vacuums that clean up your floor. It's the same thing. Those things are in majority of households in America. I feel like if I go to my sister's house, she's got one, my friend's house, everyone seems to have one of those little robotic vacuums that just goes around your house and cleans everything up. The autonomous lawnmowers, they are here, and they're only getting better, and they're only going to take more and more market share in the future for sure.
Yeah, so that makes everybody have to level up, step up, and it creates that competition factor that we get all this creativeness out of it. Which is the same thing we saw during COVID, same thing, a lot of creativity, a lot of new stuff. So another thing that you love to do is go, not just participate in seminars, but I see that you've been spending a lot of time going to actual seminars from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something that you feel again, that you want to go to soak up on what they have to say, to be able to perform better, to be able to be a better you. You go to a bunch of these different guys.
Yeah, I was just at Myron Golden's. I think it was June or May.
How was that?
It was amazing. It was a $3,000 ticket. So my buddy Naylor's like, hey, get that VIP ticket. Or no, it's platinum. He's like, don't be getting that general admission. General admission was $1,000. I was just about to get the $1,000 ticket. He was like, no, get that platinum. And I was like, oh man, $3,000 for a ticket. But I got it. And then while we're at the event, the platinums got to eat in a special room with other platinums.
Okay.
And while I was in that room, I got to meet some pretty cool people. One guy in particular, his name's Ryan Cabrera. And I got to meet him and his wife. And then we've become friends ever since. I saw him yesterday. I was up in Tampa at Myron. Myron records his YouTube videos on Mondays and Thursdays in the morning. He batch records a whole bunch of videos. And then his team publishes them on YouTube every single day. And then they publish 2 Instagram reels, YouTube shorts, Facebook reels every day. But he only films all that on Mondays and Thursdays in the morning. Well, I got invited to go to those YouTube recordings and sit in the room with Myron. This guy makes $1 million a month plus. He makes, on a bad month, he makes $1 million, but he makes even more than that per month.
Yeah.
As a content creator, business consultant type fella. And so I want to learn from him. I'm not making no $1 million a month.
100%.
So I'm humbling myself. Myron, what are you doing that I'm not doing? And I'm learning from him. But I got myself in that room by going to his event and getting the platinum ticket and Naylor and I connecting with these other high level people. David Shands, he has a podcast called the Social Proof Podcast. He was at that event. And we got to hang out at that event with him. Actually, we went out to dinner at Kava, the restaurant. We were walking back to the hotel, and I got to have this awesome conversation with David Shands about the idea of moving to the Tampa area. And he's a really, really big deal in the business world. And I got his undivided attention on a walk talking about my life because I was at the event. Ken Coleman wrote a book called The Proximity Principle. You put yourself in proximity with these people, and networking is going to happen and doors are going to open. And so I went to that event. Last week, I was at Vid Summit. It's an event that Daryl Lees does to teach you all about the YouTube algorithm, how to make a good thumbnail, how to make a good short, how to have a content plan. And I, just humbling myself and learning I could be better on YouTube. Let me learn from the YouTube greats. I could be better at business. Let me learn from someone who's making $1 million a month plus. And so I just humble myself and try to learn from people who are further along than me. And these are all events outside of the green industry. They have nothing to do with lawn care landscaping. But if I'm going to serve this industry to my best ability, I got to go to other industries and get their cutting edge best practices. So wow. I'm a huge event attender at the right events for networking and learning.
Yeah. So wow. So one, I see that your perspective is very, very bright, very optimistic, very, very good. And then I also see I've had conversations with people that they have a couple grand, they don't know where to invest it. And I tell them they need to invest it into themselves. Look at what you're able to do for $3 grand. 3 grand is nothing compared to what can happen from just attending that event, the content you were able to create, the people you were able to meet, hands you were able to shake, conversations, all of that stuff. 3 grand is nothing at the end of the day. And it's a tool. That's what we teach here at the Plan Movement Podcast. So I want you guys to think about all of the opportunities that Mr. Paul Jamison is going to have by investing 3 grand into himself. And you think it was worth it, Paul?
Oh, it was 100% worth it. And then the networking layers, because I'm now friends with David Shands, or acquaintances. I don't know how. I mean, I got his phone number, and we're friends. We'll say acquaintance. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that he's so respected in the business world, and so when Naylor and I showed up to dinner with Shands was with a bunch of other very influential people, and he's, oh, these are my boys Naylor and Paul, and everyone else is like, these guys are boys with Shands. We better be boys with these guys, and it's just like. Yeah. All these networking opportunities, it's amazing. And it was not $3 grand. That was the ticket. But I, also paid to go down there. Food that was stayed at the JW Marriott, which was expensive, probably closer to $4,500, $5 grand. it was worth every penny. And meeting Ryan Cabrera, who's now connected me with Myron Golden, and Ryan's such a good, wholesome guy with his family. They become friends. The ROI is hard to calculate, but it was totally, totally, totally worth it for sure.
Yeah. So any one of you guys that are on the edge of investing into yourself and going into these seminars or anything like that, listen to someone that's more, let's say, qualified, and you want to learn, it's definitely worth doing that. And it's easier when you don't have kids, Paul. You can fly around.
Okay. Yeah.
What's next for you besides just the golf?
Continuing the Green Industry podcast, we're taking our content to the next level at the Equip Expo, where John Deere is building us this epic podcast stage booth, platform type thing in their booth at Equip Expo. So John Deere's got the biggest booth at the trade show.
Okay.
And in the middle of their booth, they're building this like TV set studio podcast for the Green Industry podcast. So we're gonna be podcasting on stage, on set, for 3 days, in-person interviews with industry leaders. That's going to be the biggest. Thank you. That's going to be the best content we've created to date, because it's going to be in person. I've already been lining interviews up with just some absolute studs.
Wow.
It's going to be epic. So we're going to capture the video from that and put out all those clips. And then we're going to capture the long form content, of course, the audio, from the John Deere booth. So doubling down on the Green Industry podcast. We're just trying to serve more people, help more people, create better content with that. And then simultaneously from that, I am, dipping my toes in the water of becoming a more and more of a golf influencer and establishing myself in that golfing world as well. I just see so much opportunity there. So those are kind of the two, on a given work day, I'm sewing into serving the lawn care business owner with the knowledge to help them win at their business. And also I'm in the infancy stages of becoming a golf influencer. But that's definitely a goal of mine down the road.
Dude, I love it, man. I laugh because it's so funny and you do it so effortlessly. Your new nickname's going to be Paul Woods, is what we're going to call you in the studio.
You haven't seen me golf, Willie. I'm not that good yet. So
dude,
I only on Instagram's a highlight reel. You guys only see the good shots on Instagram. If you saw
that's all you need to put is the good shots.
Yeah, but Tiger Woods, like almost all of his shots are good. I have a few good shots in a whole round, and those make it on Instagram. But you don't see the shots I hit into the water and into the woods, and
it doesn't matter, because if you're meant to be plugged into that space to do something powerful, you don't have to make it. You don't have to be able to make the ball into the hole. Like literally, it's your presence. You'll be put there for something else, powerful, and let the other guy make it in the hole. Like
yeah, no, you're right.
Man. Like I don't know, Paul. I see you very, 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 very just a very powerful person. You're becoming more powerful over the years as the years go. Even though you're super credible, this guy has 1 million+ downloads. What is it, a month?
I think it's like three. All time, I think it's like 3.5 million on Spotify and Apple.
Yeah. So he's done over. Were you at 800 something podcasts?
800. No, we're at 1,300. 1,325. So over 1,300 podcasts.
So yeah. So it's like you're putting in the work, and where you're at today is the inevitable from what you were chasing. You just didn't know that it was going to come like this, and here you are today sitting with all these big influencers, and you yourself are one of them. Even if you feel like, oh, this guy's worth 200 million, like, who cares? You're Paul Jamison, has written 3 books, and you can move a crowd, and you can bring people in, and you could speak at the Equip Expo, and you're with John Deere. Like, who cares? Money at the end of the day is just money, Paul. You are doing something very powerful for an entire industry, motivating a lot of people. Like, look, right now the country's down, right? And you come on, and what do? You shine light. You're pushing these boys, these girls to continue. And then whatever you feel in your chest that day that you speak about, just like me, if I jump on and I speak about something, it's something that I feel moved to talk about at that moment. And I don't know why I feel moved. It might not even be happening in my life, but I'll do it, and someone will get touched by it. And, you know, and that's what I see in you, dude. I see just like full throttle. The future for you is going to be a lot more crazy than it's ever been, and just greatness, because you're surrounding yourself with it, and you figured it out, dude. And the fact that most of your time is spent by yourself, um, that shows how powerful God is, and that shows just how, you know, strong mentally you have to be. People think that the road of entrepreneurship is all glitz and glam, and you're in the Lambo and you know, down Ocean Drive, and it's far from that, dude. It's probably one of the most, you know, humbling experiences to be able to grow and and be places that you never thought you could be based off of the decisions that you made. So, dude, I congratulate you, man, and I can't wait to see what's next for Paul Jamison, and, you know, all the people you get to touch and the rooms you get to be a part of. You know, I don't know. It's very good, man. You're an inspiration for all of us, especially here at the Plant Movement. I know my background's in plant nursery. You know, we want to be similar to, let's say, what you do, but for our industry, be a voice. You've definitely helped propel us in the right direction, especially with your mentorship. Guys, if you're looking to do anything social media wise, anything that Paul touches, Paul even has background in radio. This guy's done it all, bro. This guy, I'm sure he doesn't soon he'll have a Bass Pro Shop sponsorship. He'll be fishing. We'll see him fly fishing out there. You can reach out to him. Where is it? PaulJamison.com. What is it? The Green Industry Podcast?
It's thePaulJamison.com. So some real estate agent in North Carolina took PaulJamison.com. So if you go there, you're going to see some old real estate guy who beat me to it. So what we did is we just put the word "the" in front of it, just because the other one's taken. So it's thePaulJamison.com or thePaulJamison.com. And we have all of our resources there. We have all the events that my itinerary of the events I'll be going to, speaking at, all of that is on the website. And if you want to connect for me to help you with your social media or your business, all of those consulting opportunities are on the website as well, thePaulJamison.com.
Yeah, and it's worth it, guys. We've done it here for many things for, you know, in the podcast world, and Paul's helped us out big time, immensely. So, dude, we want to thank you. Is there anything else you would like to say, Paul? Close it out.
I just appreciate you and Eddie and your content, Willie and Eddie too, if he's listening. It's world class. You guys put out really quality content. And in the future, I think it's getting very saturated. So in 2019, when TikTok came out, you could post anything and you would get a bunch of views because there was very few creators, but a lot of eyeballs watching TikTok. And then Instagram Reels came out in 2022. Same thing. Lots of people watching Instagram Reels, but not enough people making it. So if you made an Instagram Reel in 2022, you probably got a lot of views. And then that shifted to Facebook Reels last year, and YouTube Shorts. But now what's happening is there's more and more and more and more creators. So it's getting saturated. So you can't just post whatever you want and it go viral like we could back in the day. So you got to really create good content, and you guys are doing that. And so it looks good. It sounds good. It's the content, you know, is good. It's just, you guys have got a really good thing going over there. So keep up the good work. I like A's Ornamental, Plant Movement. You guys are doing a really good job on social media. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Yeah, Eddie says thank you. No, it's definitely cool. And what's cool about it is we're boys from back in the day. So the fact that we get to, you know, team up together, brainstorm, create. You know, we're doing so many different things for the green industry, not just the content and the podcasts. You know, we're starting businesses to benefit people, to grow better products, educate them, and just, I don't know, we feel called to do so much more than what we're doing. And I feel like with time, we'll be able to achieve all that. So, Paul, guys, you already know, if you don't follow Paul, follow him on Instagram, follow him on TikTok, YouTube. Go get him on LinkedIn. And thank you, Paul. We love you, man. God bless. And be safe over there in Sarasota.
All right. Thanks, Willie. Thanks, Eddie. And I'll look forward to hanging out with you guys in person and seeing Miami for the first time. There's a golf course there called Doral. Donald Trump's course. Yeah, Miami Doral. Yep. And I was looking at their hotel and their golf, and I kind of on my bucket list to play there one day. So hopefully I can go play some golf at Doral and hang out with you guys.
We can play with you. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
They'll teach us how to swing. All right, Paul. God bless you, bro. We love you, man.
Thank you, guys.
All right, dude. Be easy.
Bye.
Strive for improvement. Time for the blueprint. Mindset elevate, thrive, and demonstrate. Planting a movement. Sow the seeds, educate the flourish. Building up the team. Our network with purpose. Industry is green. We've only scratched the surface. Know this call is deep. Nobody gon' outwork us. Yeah, we chasing greatness, trying to give the code. Moving up with patience, foundation stone. Doing what it takes. We're here to break the mold. This for anyone who wanna level up. Let's grow.